A war didn't do it. A king didn't. A speech didn't. The most powerful shift in human history began with paper. 16 wood blocks, wet ink. A printing press in a monastery town no one can find on a tourist map. On that paper, a line curved where no one expected it. A nameless land suddenly had a name. And by the time anyone questioned it, it was already too late. Because names are claims, and claims become empires. This is the story of a single map that rewired the planet, and of the cartographer who tried to take it back. Saint-Dié, 1507. It's past midnight in Saint-Dié, a quiet town in the Vosges Mountains. Candles hiss, wood creaks, a press thumps like a heartbeat. Two scholars hunch over sheets the size of doors. Martin Waldseemüller, a meticulous German mapmaker, and Matthias Ringmann, a humanist with a taste for big ideas. On the wall before them spreads a world, Europe, Africa, and something new. A long, strange coast across the Western Ocean. They have a problem. How do you draw a place no one has truly seen? Columbus said he'd reached Asia. Sailors' letters whisper of unfamiliar stars, birds, currents, and coastlines that don't match any known shore. Ringman flips open a text he has been translating. Letters attributed to Amerigo Vespucci. Those letters don't call the new lands India. They call them a separate continent. Waldseemüller makes a decision with the tip of his pen. He writes a word across the unknown coast. America. A quiet, almost throwaway choice. Except it isn't. A map goes viral, 1507 style. They print 1,000 copies of a wall map titled Universalis Cosmographia. They ship them along with a little booklet, Cosmographiae Introductio, explaining why the New World deserves a new name. Not Asia, not India, America. Since Europe and Asia have received women's names, why shouldn't this one? The sheets spread faster than any royal decree. Monasteries pin them up. Harbor masters copy them. Merchants memorize them. Students argue over them. And suddenly, the mental model of the planet tilts. If the Western lands aren't Asia, then the ocean between them and Asia must be another ocean. No one in Europe has seen it. Waldseemüller just drew it. He didn't wait for proof. He created demand for it. The hunt for the missing ocean. Once the idea exists, sailors start chasing it. Years later, Balboa will stand in Panama and see a vast water he'll call the South Sea. Magellan will thread a strait at the world's end to find a path into that very ocean. But the psychological door opened here, in ink first. This is the power of a map. It turns a guess into a goal. It makes the hypothetical navigable. The other line that moved empires. But the 1507 map didn't just name a continent. It quietly validated a different line that had already been drawn, a line that would divide the globe. In 1493, Pope Alexander VI issues a bull, Inter Caetera, to keep Spain and Portugal from tearing each other apart. In 1494, the Treaty of Tordesillas draws a meridian, 370 leagues west of the Cape Verde Islands. Everything west to Spain, everything east to Portugal. It sounds simple, until you try to put it on a globe no one has accurately measured. Where does that line fall on the other side of the world? No one knows. No one can. Then Waldseemüller's sheet arrives. It shows a separate western landmass, and by implication, space for the Tordesillas line to cross the Atlantic and touch it. On future charts, that line will clip a curved coast in the west, leaving a slice to the Portuguese, a slice later called Brazil. A boundary becomes believable the moment you can see it, and once you can see it, you can fight for it. One copy survives. Why? Fast forward 3 centuries. In 1901, a Jesuit historian named Joseph Fischer is cataloging a castle library in Wolfegg, Germany. Behind a stack of papers, he finds a massive, fragile woodcut, the only known surviving copy of Waldseemüller's 1507 wall map. Why only one? Because after engraving America, Waldseemüller does something startling. He changes his mind. By 1513/1516, his next major map, the Carta Marina, retreats from the daring claim. America fades. The new land becomes uncertain again, terra incognita. Quiet notes suggest doubt about the Vespucci letter's authenticity. Pressure builds. Columbus loyalists rage. Scholars argue. Waldseemüller tries to rewind a word that has already escaped into 1,000 rooms. He can't. Printers keep printing. Admirals keep pointing. Teachers keep teaching. The name sticks because the map stuck. Secrets, smugglers, and the cartographic arms race. Meanwhile, Portugal doesn't just accept a line and hope. They treat maps as state secrets. Pilots carry rudder books coded like ciphers. Stone pillars called padrões mark discoveries. In 1502, a clerk in Lisbon risks his life to steal a world chart and smuggle it to Italy. It becomes the Cantino Planisphere, one of the first public maps to show the new coasts. Why risk everything? Because whoever controls information controls oceans. Waldseemüller's sheet isn't a curiosity, it's a weapon. It lets lesser courts imitate great ones. It lets private syndicates outfit voyages without begging a king, and it convinces investors that the world is not closed. It's open for the taking. The human cost hidden in ink maps feel clean. But behind the clean lines are messier ones: borders, bayonets, broken treaties. Once the Western lands appear as a separate continent with a friendly name, the legal machinery follows. Royal charters, trading monopolies, missionary orders, and then forced labor, epidemics, the largest human migrations in history, voluntary and not. A line on paper looks harmless. On land, it is anything but. Why Vespucci? Why not Columbus? You can hear the argument echoing across the centuries. Why did a German cartographer name a continent after Amerigo Vespucci and not the man who sailed first under Spain's flag? Because maps aren't courtrooms. They're narratives. Vespucci's letters, whether embellished, mistranslated, or authentic, told a story Europeans could use. This is not Asia. This is new. And if it's new, then old contracts don't apply. In that gap, fortunes are built. And once investors, captains, and kings agree on a narrative, the name that carries it becomes immortal. The recantation. No one heard. Waldseemüller's quiet retreat should have changed the ending. He tried to scrub the word. He redrew coasts. He softened claims. But the 1507 sheet had already trained eyes. Once a pattern lives in your head, you keep seeing it. Even Waldseemüller couldn't unsee his own invention. Neither could Europe. How a guess becomes geography. Remember that unknown Western Ocean he drew? The one no European had confirmed? By placing it, he didn't just predict discovery. He demanded it. Balboa's lookout, Magellan's Strait, Elcano's return. Each expedition nails boards onto a scaffold the map sketched in air. This is the cycle. Maps suggest, ships test, maps update, empires move. Feedback at the speed of ambition. The copy under glass. Today, that surviving wall map sits under low light, flat as a heartbeat monitor. Archivists hover, visitors lean in. The ink is brown, the paper is tired. The decisions it contains are very much alive. If you look closely, you can see the hesitation, tiny breaks where a coastline didn't quite match a rumor, a subtle widening where Ringman's Latin tries to justify a leap. These are the fingerprints of a choice that couldn't be walked back. In 2003, the Library of Congress bought the map for millions, not for decoration, for evidence, proof that one quiet artifact can shove an era off its axis. Counterfactuals that keep historians awake. What if America hadn't been written? Would the lands have been called Columbia, New India, the Western Isles? Names are frames. Frames determine policy. and policy determines people's lives. A different name might have meant different charters, different alliances, different borders. Or maybe another printer would have written America a year later, and we'd end up here anyway. That's the maddening part. History is both fragile and inevitable, depending on which sheet you're staring at. Maps don't just describe power, they produce it. Stand back from the glass and you'll notice something else. The map isn't centered on a king. It's centered on the world. That's the shift. Medieval Mappa Mundi placed Jerusalem at the heart. Waldseemüller's world centers on latitudes and longitudes, on measurable space, on places you can sail to and profit from. Faith gives way to geometry. Geometry gives way to empire. A whispered regret. There's no diary where Waldseemüller confesses, "I wish I hadn't." But his later work reads like a cautious man trying to put the genie back in the bottle. He couldn't, because by 1513, pilots are already talking like merchants. By 1516, merchants talk like kings. By 1529, Spain and Portugal carve the opposite side of the globe with the Treaty of Zaragoza, extending that first dividing line through seas neither controls. When your tools are lines, every conflict looks like a place to draw one. So yes, a map changed the course of history, not because it was perfectly right, but because it was usefully wrong in exactly the ways ambition needed. It drew a missing ocean. It named a continent. It made a contested meridian feel inevitable. And then it dared the world to prove it. The most dangerous thing about a map isn't that it might mislead you. It's that it might persuade everyone at once. And if you think that was a one-off, think again. 400 years later, in a smoke-filled office, two men sketched a pencil line across a desert on a single sheet. That line still bleeds. But that is a story for another map.